Good morning, everyone. This is Diane Murray at Southern Art Gallery, and I am just doing a quick tip video this morning to show you how to do a background wash using a variation in tones and hues. So basically I have wet the entire background, and if I were going to do this is cobalt blue, if I were going to do a wet, charge in wet, this is for a background that we're working on a painting. So if I were going to do this is how I would do it. If I just want variation in the background, and you can see it's really wet, and if it's too wet, this is Fabriano paper, so I don't really know how it's going to react to this. But anyway, you can just add your various colors, your darks and lights, and have your paints mixed up ahead of time. And if you want to leave some white in your background, just go over that area with the clean water, or just don't go over it at all. And then if you want it to have a linear look, you can do it this way, or you can do it on an angle and just let it flow. And if you're going around a subject, just paint around, leave the white space of the paper, and you'll get a nice variation in your background washes. And if this isn't dark enough, I would just go over it again. You could actually mingle the colors like this if you'd rather have some real differences here. If you want to kind of blend it a little bit more. But it gives a really pretty effect doing your backgrounds this way. And not letting it creep up underneath the tape. And as long as it's wet, you can go back in there if you want to in some different areas and do some different effects. Now the more you blend it like this, the more even the texture is going to be. If you did not want it to be this even, and you wanted to lighten some areas, you could actually just take out the pigment with your brush, add some more different pigment in there, and just fool around with it until you get a background that you're happy with. You could also take a paper towel and lift out some places if you wanted. And if you didn't like that, you could go back in. And if you wanted it darker, and you see how wet this is? I mean, it's just truly really wet. Now the wetter it is, the harder it is to control. So remember that. Say I wanted this corner darker, I would just let it bleed into this corner. Like that. And that's how you get a variegated, it's not really a variegated wash, it's just a random loose background wash. Obviously Fabriano doesn't like to hold this much water, so it's really buckling. Fabriano is not one of my favorite papers at all, but all right, let's try this and see what we've got. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, I have paint all over my hands. And this, because I blended it, this is too even. So you can always, if that happens, you can always go back in. And this time I'm not going to wet the whole paper first. I'm just going to put in the washes. And that's the cobalt blue. And I'll go in with the darker blue. And just touch where I have the other. We get a little bit of a mingling there, but not too much. Let's say I wanted to do a totally different blue. Let's go in with a straight indigo in here. As long as I touch the other wet wash, it's all going to work together. And let's say I wanted this corner darker. I do the same thing, just always touching the wet edge of the other blue. This is a good way to do clouds. All right. And then if I didn't want that to go down too much, I'd just turn it this way and let it mingle. You can always lay this flat as well if you want it to stay exactly like you have it. And there you have it. It's just a sloppy background of different blues.